Good evening. I'm Wendy Mesley, and this is The National. Hundreds evacuated from London apartments in the wake of that deadly inferno as British officials check potential fire traps. Doctors offer guidelines to reduce the risks around pot. Will young users tune them out?
They're not going to listen. They're not going to listen.
Rex is here with some capital thoughts. Plus, binge watching in the Arab world. A drama based on ISIS draws ratings and controversy. More than a week after the devastating Grenfell Tower fire killed at least 79 people in London, more British buildings have been identified as possible fire risks, some dangerous enough to warrant evacuation. People in at least 800 apartments in 5 towers in Camden will be moved out. Inspectors are in the process of checking some 600 buildings across England that may have combustible cladding. So far, at least 14 have been deemed serious fire risks, 12 of them in London where cladding has been ordered removed. There's been so much blame on that cladding, but today investigators announced what initially sparked the deadly fire. Margaret Evans has that.
The Metropolitan Police here in London say that the fire that claimed at least 79 lives at Grenfell Tower last week began in a hot point fridge freezer, and the government has already ordered testing on that model. But police are also still looking at how and why the fire spread so quickly, and the investigation continues to focus on cladding on the outside of the building. Parts of it undergoing testing have already failed.
Preliminary tests on the insulation samples collected from Grenfell Tower showed that they combusted soon after the test started. The initial tests on the cladding tiles also failed the safety tests.
Police have already passed on that information to local councils across the United Kingdom. And yesterday, the Prime Minister, Theresa May, told Parliament that testing was being carried out on all relevant tower blocks, hundreds of them.
If you live in a tower block especially, you're thinking, oh my God, that could have been us. And especially now that they've said it's in our cladding, we're thinking, oh my God. It makes you feel like, it makes you feel quite tearful actually.
The police say they received more than 600 calls to their emergency lines the night Grenfell Tower burned. And they've listened to every one of them. Some of them lasted for more than an hour. Harrowing to listen to, say the police. There are fears that the number of people who died that night is actually higher than reported because not all residents were registered. Both the police and the government have said they will not use the Grenfell tragedy to look at people's immigration status, urging anyone with information on missing residents to come forward.
I do not want any hidden victims of this tragedy.
The police say that they will be considering manslaughter charges as the investigation proceeds, that they'll be reviewing every company involved in the building and refurbishment of Grenfell Tower. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
The man accused of driving a van into a crowd near a North London mosque appeared in court today. Darren Osborne is now charged with terrorism-related murder and attempted murder. On Sunday night, a group of Muslim worshippers were leaving evening prayers in Finsbury Park when a van slammed into them, killing 51-year-old Makram Ali and injuring 9 others. The crowd grabbed the driver and held him until police arrived. Among London's Muslim community, there is grief and trepidation about the future. After a previous wave of deadly violence at the hands of an extremist few, many say they feel like they're all under suspicion, even unwelcome in their own city. Now Ayed returned to Finsbury Park to see what people are saying now.
At the Muslim Welfare House, a week that began with horror ends in prayer. A full house, with a sense that a lot has changed. They gather just as they did Sunday night, but touched by sadness now and the shared memory of being targeted for their faith.
There's a familiar face absent from our congregation. who was taken from us in this cowardly and vicious attack.
Worshippers had just left that same mosque when the attacker struck with a van, injuring 10 and killing Makram Ali.
We wish everyone to know what a loving man he was. We as a family have always believed that the actions of one person cannot be a reflection of a whole people.
Where terrorism planted fear, a memorial of flowers still grows. Messages of condolence and support from all across the country, even the royal family.
Her Majesty's thoughts and prayers are with you all.
But the attack has also highlighted the long-standing Islamophobia. It has spiked since this year's terrorist attacks by extremists claiming to act in the name of Islam. Since the attack on the people from this place, fewer of them are coming.
Hate crime is on a rise. You can see lots of shocking videos out there, and this has to stop.
So there is resentment here, but also deep desire for understanding. So as Ramadan comes to a close, Zahid Khan hands out dates and smiles.
Because if we do not communicate with other communities, how are we going to learn about each other?
The restraint and dignity from the local community in the face of terror was something to behold.
Today, police came with news on the investigation.
We've charged a man with murder and attempted murder of our friends and community members and some terrorist offences. And we're confident that we'll see justice done very quickly.
Outside, more change. Police asking witnesses to come forward and keeping watch.
Where I see police, I feel secure. I prefer more police in the roads.
Down the road, on the last Friday of Ramadan, they break the fast with neighbors. With their help, the shock may have worn off, but not the apprehension. Nala Ayed, CBC News, London.
Dozens of people are dead and more than 200 injured after 3 separate attacks in Pakistan today. 2 of the attacks occurred in separate cities along the country's border with Afghanistan. The first, a suicide bomb that killed at least 13 people. And then later in the day, a pair of explosions killed at least 25. The Taliban claimed responsibility for both bomb attacks. The third deadly incident was in Pakistan's largest city, Karachi, where gunmen killed 4 police officers. Coming up, it's 1 year since black activists stopped Toronto's Pride Parade.
This year, I'm going to attend Pride because we've stepped up, we're supporting marginalized people.
But now it's police who feel marginalized. Plus, how Canada's big birthday goes over in Quebec. No matter the risks involved in using it, legalized pot in Canada is just a year away. Today, concerned experts put out some guidelines aimed primarily at younger people, a list of common sense advice a parent might give. One potential drawback, it could sound like the kind of advice a parent might give. The CBC's Susan Lunn explains.
Okay, I'm taking 4 more people.
It won't be legal for another year, but that's not stopping people from lining up to buy pot here.
We're the McDonald's of weed. We are.
This 19-year-old says he's a regular pot user, and he laughs at the guidelines that suggest people should either abstain from using pot altogether or wait until they're older, perhaps at least 25.
They have a literal law that will put them in jail for years, and they haven't followed those guidelines. You're gonna now say it's legal, but like 19 to 25 still no. They're not gonna listen.
We have to be realistic and accept the reality that currently use rates of cannabis are highest among young people. So we can't.
Fisher is one of the scientists behind the new guidelines. They give advice on how to reduce the risk for those who are going to use pot no matter what. Use it occasionally, on weekends or 1 day a week. Pick pot with lower risk of harm, such as strains low in THC. If you do use pot, don't drive for at least 6 hours.
But they will go on using it, but they will use it knowing what's happened when they use it.
This advice is easier to prescribe now that pot will soon be legal.
The information's been out there for a long time, but because in the crude and dark shadows of illegality, no one would really pay attention to those fine details. But now we're in a position where we can and must do that.
The guidelines also recommend that people don't smoke pot, but find other ways to ingest it. The federal government's bill doesn't cover edible products. That will come later. But experts are already calling for strict standards on those products.
That's one of the lessons from Colorado, where they would sell a brownie that was actually 4 servings, but it looked like a normal brownie. And let's face it, who amongst us would eat 1/4 of a brownie?
The federal health minister welcomes today's guidelines, saying they will reduce the risk of using pot. The federal government says it still intends to legalize and fully regulate marijuana by this time next year. Susan Lunn, CBC News, Ottawa.
Not sure if pot was involved or not, but Johnny Depp made a controversial comment at Britain's Glastonbury Music Festival last night.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? It's been a while. And maybe it's time.
The White House called the comment troubling, and today Depp apologized and said it was a bad joke in poor taste. He was likely referring to the 1865 assassination of Abraham Lincoln by actor John Wilkes Booth. Not sure what Lincoln would make of social media, but he knew all about a divided U.S. The current man in the White House knows about both, and Donald Trump's Twitter account has helped expose the current divide. Today, more evidence of that, linked to his tweet about the possible existence of tape recordings of his conversations with former FBI Director James Comey. Lindsay Duncombe has the details.
I don't have any tape, and I didn't tape.
It was all a strategy, the president implied to Fox News. His tweet warning former FBI Director James Comey he better hope that there are no tapes of our conversations, a bluff.
Because then he has to tell what actually took place at the events. And my story didn't change. My story was always a straight story. My story was always the truth.
The interviewer's take?
It was a smart way to make sure he stayed honest in those hearings.
Well, it wasn't very stupid, I can tell you that.
This all goes back to February. Former FBI Director James Comey and Donald Trump alone in the Oval Office. Comey says Trump asked him to let go of the investigation into his former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Trump says it didn't happen that way. When Trump suggested there may be secret recordings, reporters clamored to hear them.
Are there tapes, sir?
Congressional investigators demanded them, and from Comey himself,
Lordy, I hope there are tapes.
Then, on the same day the Senate introduced long-awaited health care legislation, Trump said if any recordings exist, he didn't make them and he doesn't have them.
But Kellyanne, my question is, why didn't the president clear this up 41 days ago?
He cleared it up in due course, but I want to go back to what you just said. I think it's
compare CNN's tone.
First answer this question, and then we can go to your point.
Why did it tweet?
To fawning Fox. Different channels, different worlds.
Everyone's saying, give him a chance.
With no tapes to clear things up, who do Americans believe? A new poll by NBC and the Wall Street Journal suggests they're more inclined to believe James Comey over President Trump by a margin of 2-1. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
When Donald Trump won the White House, author and activist Naomi Klein started writing fast. Her new book targets the president, but he's not the only leader she's criticized. In the past, you've said that you think Justin Trudeau is kind of pretending that he cares about climate change.
Well, frankly, I think Justin Trudeau has been really playing along with Trump's brand, going to the Oval Office, posing with Ivanka, really helping her. That was a gift to Ivanka's brand, that picture of Justin next to Ivanka, as she sat in her father's chair. It was quite extraordinary, really. So it's one thing to say, we don't want to pick a fight with our biggest trading partner, but it's another thing to do PR for them like that. I think he should have taken a lot more heat for that.
I guess the argument was that he was trying to develop a relationship.
I don't think you have to go that far. I think maybe you want to certainly be civil in those early meetings, but I don't think you have to go so far as to do that kind of PR for Ivanka's brand.
You can watch our entire interview this Sunday on The National. It's a surprising headline and one that may not line up with what you see at the grocery checkout. StatsCan says food prices are down year over year. Jacqueline Hansen looks at how the numbers square with perceptions.
At a grocery store in St. John's, shoppers don't hold back.
Prices are atrocious everywhere you go. Grocery prices keep going up. It's cheaper to buy fast food for your family.
But compare their experience to data released by Statistics Canada today, and at first glance, it doesn't seem to add up. According to StatsCan, the cost of food is actually down. In May, prices at the grocery store fell 1.2% from last year.
The consumer price index may be a little bit off.
Researchers at Dalhousie University did their own food price comparison, and it's gotten a lot of attention. A random spot check of 100 food products over 5 months from January to May. They found big jumps in fruits and nuts, vegetables, and particularly the price of meat.
With meat products, StatsCan is reporting price drops compared to last year. What we've seen is an increase of 11% since January.
Statistics Canada doesn't dispute the rise in prices so far this year, but it says context is crucial.
It's very important to compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges. And comparing a 5-month time period to a 12-month time period.
The agency also looks at tens of thousands of products, and it shows the cost of food has been going up for years. Now it's stabilizing, but at a higher level.
My message to shoppers, to consumers, is that, you know, if they feel stretched buying food, that's the right feeling to have. I feel it too.
I usually go like for 2 weeks, 200 budget. Like sometimes, but nowadays it's going like 220, like 240.
Shoppers here say they're doing their best to keep up with those higher costs.
It depends on how badly I need it. I don't mind paying the price because I need it. I cannot eat the money.
The cost of food can depend on anything from where we live to the weather to the value of the Canadian dollar. And even though the national data show prices are lower than they were last year, that is still hard to swallow for some Canadians. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
Online shopping and expensive real estate are just a couple of the reasons many malls are facing financial crisis. And as big-name department stores bring in fewer customers, shopping centres are accepting new tenants to stay relevant. Diane Buckner explains.
Business is booming at elite malls like Toronto's Eaton Centre and Vancouver's Pacific Centre, thanks to prime locations and an enticing array of top retailers. But at many of Canada's neighbourhood malls, life isn't nearly so grand.
If you look, these shopping malls were created, a lot of them, in the late 1950s or early 1960s, and if you look at how everything else in society has changed, and it's 50 years later, and it's really time to, create a new model.
The viability of shopping centres has been threatened by e-commerce, demand for real estate, and millennials with new tastes. The latest retail report from Colliers International predicts that virtually all of Canada's suburban malls will be redeveloped in the next 10 years.
It was built in the mid-1950s.
Ed Sunshine is the CEO of RioCan, the biggest mall owner in Canada. He's redeveloping the oldest strip mall in Toronto.
It was built for the car, and everybody drove everywhere.
Sunshine points out that as cities have grown, suburban malls that were once isolated and remote now sit on valuable real estate. Acres of parking don't generate money the way a residential tower does.
But I think this is about 18 stories.
That's why many of RioCan's new developments feature condos, offices, and lots of what Sunshine calls service retail.
So there'll be salon, hairdresser, there might be medical uses on the ground floor. That's what I mean by service-oriented retail. Right.
But some neighborhood shopping centers are trying to be creative without a total redesign. When this outlet mall just outside Toronto lost a big tenant, it launched The Living Room, a community space that can be booked for free.
It's definitely important for us at Dixie Outlet Mall to partner with the community and bring new and unique uses that are different from other traditional retail establishments as well as online.
But what will a mall of the future look like? One is about to be built in downtown Toronto. It will have fewer stores, more entertainment, and many more food options. It will also include lots of condos. The strategy is simple. If you're struggling to bring people to the mall, this project will bring the mall to the people. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Toronto.
If you ever find yourself close to losing your cool behind the wheel, take a deep breath and think about what could go wrong so you don't find yourself in a situation like this.
Okay, we're stopping.
This happened near Los Angeles. Tensions between a motorcyclist and driver boiled over, causing a chain reaction. No one was killed. Police are now looking for the biker who left the scene. The famous mummified toe that was stolen from a Yukon bar last Sunday has been returned to its owners. RCMP says the Dawson City Downtown Hotel received the toe in the mail, packed in salt. With it was an apology note signed, "Sincerely, a drunken fool." Police say no charges will be laid. Straight ahead, Toronto's Pride Parade, 1 year after it was stopped in its tracks by politics.
We are all challenged by that constantly. How do you get the truth out? And it's not just politicians. You know, it can be business leaders. It can be anybody who has a position they're trying to spin. How do you get them to focus on your question, answer your question, and how can you be sure you're getting the truth from them? When we're trying to break through their message track, you know, it's like there's a tape recorder playing in their head and out comes their answer, and you've heard it 100 times already. Whenever you've seen that particular person, that usually politician, try to answer these questions either in the House of Commons or in a scrum, and you hear the same thing coming back at you. If you're able to ask a question in such a way that you see them pause before they answer, that you're actually making them think, the odds are you're going to get a better answer. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, when you hear that moment, that pause, you keep listening because you're probably going to hear something interesting.
Hi, my name is Komal. I'm just curious as to how the process has changed over the years. Is it more challenging to be a reporter now than it was when you began your career in journalism?
Well,
different challenges.
Some of us have been around a long time. And it's very different now. A snapshot for me, and I'll ask Paul to answer this, so I'll give him a moment to think of his answer. But in my case, when I started in the 1960s, we were using black and white film that you'd have to send to a lab to be processed, and it would come back, you'd physically cut it, stick it together, and then do your voice track and put the item on the air. You know, as antiquated as that sounds in today's world, and it certainly was, it did give you time to reflect on what you were going to say. Just that moment of the film being at the lab for an hour and a half gave you time to think about what you were going to do. And that's why I'm constantly in awe of the journalists of today. The seasoned ones like we have on stage here, and the young ones just coming out of journalism schools, that they are given very limited time to assemble their items, and it's remarkable what they do under the kind of pressures they face.
Just 8 days until this country marks a notable Canada Day. For many, Canada's 150th anniversary is a time for nothing but celebration. But in Quebec, it's more complicated than that. Alison Northcott explains.
Montreal is in the midst of its busy summer festival season, on top of the city's 375th birthday. So Canada's 150th is jostling for attention. It won't get much from Giselle Bernard.
I don't understand to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Canada. For me, it doesn't mean anything.
But other Quebecers do feel a connection to Canada's big birthday.
It's been almost 1 year that I got my Canadian citizenship, so Canada is home for me.
I'm very happy to be a Canadian. That doesn't prevent me from being a very good Quebecer. And we don't ask somebody, do you prefer your father or your mother? Without both, I wouldn't be there.
But there's another celebration Montreal rapper Rod Le Stud says resonates more in Quebec. This weekend's Saint-Jean-Baptiste Day, also known as the Fête Nationale or National Holiday, it's a big celebration of French-Canadian culture, language, and identity.
We talk always about les deux solitudes, so we're kind of like two nations in the same country. For us, the Saint-Jean is like our national, so that Fête Nationale. and the 1st of July is more like the moving day.
It's true that July 1st has taken on that tradition in Quebec, where many people move apartments and scenes like this play out everywhere. For some Quebecers, Canada Day has never been a big deal, and the 150 doesn't change that.
Je viens d'une famille qui est très, très souverainiste, donc il n'y avait pas d'attachement au Canada. Il y a même, j'ai tendance à dire, même une bataille avec le Canada. Il y a comme une forme de rivalité qui existe.
But even at this one cafe table among friends, the views vary.
I don't think I'll be like taking part to major celebrations, but the values behind Canadian, the country, and behind what it means, and celebrating that as Canadian, that I'm a little bit more in sync with that.
I've always been more of a celebrating like Saint-Jean and Quebec in my francophone identity, but at the same time, I'm dating someone who's from Ottawa, an Anglophone, so he feels a bit more strongly about Canada, so mixed feelings, I would say.
Canada Day will still make a splash here this year with parades, performances, and a big fireworks display. But the first party is this weekend, when the streets will be decked out in blue and white as Quebecers officially kick off the summer. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
To another big summer party, the country's biggest Pride Parade. Last year, Black Lives Matter launched a sit-in demanding, among other things, that police not be a part of this year's celebration. And while some see that as out of line for an inclusive event, others see it as a return to form. Nicole Ireland has that.
It's a familiar sight at Toronto's annual Pride Parade, uniformed officers marching to show their support, but not this year.
The presence of uniformed police, the presence of dozens of incarceration buses, of police forces from across this province actually do not make everyone feel safe.
Black Lives Matter brought last year's Pride Parade to a halt, demanding that police no longer be allowed to march as they face accusations of racial discrimination. Pride Toronto agreed, but not everyone wants the police out.
They've decided to come party with us for the last 10 or 15 years, and it's been great.
But others say Black Lives Matter has pushed Pride in the right direction.
I think that we've over-allowed police forces to sort of show up and get their credit for being pro-queer communities, and then they spend the other 364 days a year treating us like garbage.
Mistreatment by police helped to fuel the Pride movement more than 35 years ago. Many say Pride needs to return to its political roots.
This year, I'm going to attend Pride because we've stepped up, we're supporting marginalized people, and we need police reform in this city.
Despite the party atmosphere, organizers say this year's police ban shows they're taking the community's concerns seriously.
So I go all over the city and people stop me and they say, this is the parade I'm going to come to because it reflects me. I hope it's given the whole queer community a sense that there's a place for them at Pride Toronto.
But Toronto's police union says the ban is a slap in the face. About 100 officers, staff, and families have accepted an invitation to march in New York's Pride Parade on Sunday instead.
I'm not sending the message. I think that the Pride organizers have sent a message that it's pretty disgraceful that they would not allow Toronto police officers to appear in uniform in the parade.
Pride Toronto says it will keep the dialogue open with police.
What we're trying to do is say, let's understand what everybody across our community thinks and feels, and let's work together on what police participation looks like in the future.
Nicole Ireland, CBC News, Toronto.
Turkish police are investigating a tragic incident at a water park that left 5 people dead, including 3 children. The kids were playing in a pool when something electrified the water. The manager of the water park and his son then jumped in to save them, but all were electrocuted. Now, stay tuned for a hot TV drama like you've never seen. It's set inside ISIS.
The question always comes back, what are the Muslim world, what is the Arab and larger Muslim world doing to combat extremism? Well, this is one of those efforts.
During the month of Ramadan, Black Crows has been a runaway hit. The politics behind it may be even more compelling. Let's check the day's business numbers. The TSX rose 99 points. The dollar dropped more than 1/10 of a cent. In New York, the Dow lost 2 points and the price of oil closed up 27 cents a barrel.
International with Knowlton Nash.
Good evening and welcome to rainy Vancouver and Expo 86.
The province they call supernatural is ready. They've been drilling, painting, cleaning, and checking all week.
I think everyone's relatively calm.
There's everything here, from the world's biggest flagpole to the world's biggest hockey stick and the world's biggest hockey puck. You never know what you'll see next, and you never know who you're going to meet next. There's the mascot of the fair, Expo Ernie.
Well, bless my little robotic heart. It's Knowlton Nash and a crew from the National. How do you do? Glad to have you here.
Expo is a fair about transportation, so this state-of-the-art monorail was a natural. For the first 2 months, it kept breaking down, but now it's carrying capacity crowds. The sun shone for the first time in weeks in Vancouver today, and with the sun, Expo 86 came alive. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people got to see the fair for the first time. Being Saturday, it was a big day for the children. And for children, what counts at a fair is the fun. There was no shortage of that.
Just great. It's bringing the whole country together, too.
$5,000 is spent every night by Expo for a computerized laser and fireworks show. It's called International Nights of Fire.
We've never seen fireworks like that before. Oh, that was awesome.
At 86th Street, they party with the Powder Blues Band, and they obey the rules to eat, drink, and go crazy. When they first opened, these nightclubs had so many customers, things sometimes got out of hand. So extra doormen were hired. Proper dress is now required. The people who don't like dress codes still have a place to go, though. At the Irish pub, there doesn't seem to be any code at all.
Expo has done itself proud. That's great.
They did well.
I enjoyed myself like no other time.
It's the best thing that ever happened to British Columbia and to me.
I love it. I've had a great time here.
When we said in the House of Commons that was the most ridiculous policy ever, then if you will just wait, the truth will be given to you.
To unfurl a flag that is truly distinctive and truly national in character, as Canadian as the maple leaf on your badge.
When the cavalcade rolled up to a stage where Trudeau was to make remarks in support of the local candidates, he was confronted by sign-carrying hecklers again. This time protesting high unemployment. Trudeau's response, as it has been throughout this campaign, was to fight back.
Yeah, we saw you last night with your painted and hired signs and your hired friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of you holding signs like little boys. Come on, go and look for some jobs.
No, you're lost without your notes.
This lady just wouldn't give up and kept up a barrage of one-liners throughout the speech.
Are you running as a rhinoceros or as a liberal? Eh?
No rah-rah speeches. The truth.
Mulrooney was frequently interrupted by a large and unusually provocative group of hecklers, most of them striking workers at the Gainers meatpacking plant in Edmonton. Mulrooney appealed for calm, didn't get it, and didn't like it.
You can yell and you can scream all you want. I've fought bigger and better people than you, and I'll do it again.
As the Prime Minister continued toward his car, he came face to face with one of the demonstrators. Suddenly, Chrétien took the man by the back of the neck. His other hand was over the protester's mouth. He pushed him aside. Seconds later, another protester approached the Prime Minister. Chrétien knocked over the bullhorn that was in his hand.
But he was right in front of me, shouting and trying to block my way, so I took him out.
A list of demands has emerged from countries that have frozen out the Gulf nation of Qatar for weeks. Egypt, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates called on Qatar to, among other things, reduce ties with Iran, close a Turkish military base on its territory, and even shut down Qatari-funded Al Jazeera, which often features critical voices. The countries are isolating Qatar economically and diplomatically, accusing it of supporting terror groups. Qatar calls the demands unreasonable. Tomorrow, the Muslim world marks the end of Ramadan. For many, it's a time of quiet reflection and family. For ISIS and groups like it, it's a time for killing. Violence and martyrdom dominate their messaging during the holy month. But over the past few weeks, that message has been countered in an unusual way with a big-budget TV drama. Senior correspondent Adrian Arsenault explains.
Given what the people of Iraq and Syria and much of the Middle East have been through with ISIS, it's a little hard to imagine they'd be all that interested in a drama about the terror group. Reality is tough enough to take. And yet, here it is, and it's huge. This is Black Crows, a big-budget Arabic miniseries designed just for Ramadan. A time that when the sun goes down and people gather to eat, watching TV becomes something whole families do together every day for a month. Imagine curling up to a scene like this. Target practice on prisoners. Horrible moment this, but not that far-fetched. Neither is this scene. The ISIS leaders scheming how to cheat their own fighters. The series, produced by Saudi Arabia's MBC with some help from American producers, claims to pull its plots from the truth of what ISIS has inflicted. It's playing before an audience who are tragically the best of fact-checkers. Baghdad's Al Mansour neighborhood knows the ISIS foe. Just 2 years ago, the terror group set off a deadly car bomb there. Those very same streets so far seem calm this Ramadan. All out on the hot, steamy nights now seem to know Black Crows.
We're a people exhausted from war. We need shows like this to distract us.
The show is a reflection of contradictions in our society: violence and peace, terrorism and security. I'm confident we will emerge from this cycle of violence into a state of peace and security.
That's the sort of review producers had been hoping for. Yes, the series was a huge ratings grab in peak viewing season, but it was also marketed as a way to combat extremism.
What we've seen is this mainstreaming against extremism.
And that's got the attention of counter-terror analysts around the world.
The question always comes back, what are the Muslim world, what is the Arab and larger Muslim world doing to combat extremism? Well, this is one of those efforts.
Mohammed Rahim has been peering into the chat rooms used by ISIS supporters and fighters and sees their frustration with the Black Crows series. It seems to bother some of them, which is perhaps the point.
Well, when I was going through the chat rooms, there's this commentary of this really struggle of them trying to wrestle with why are they doing this? And so you can see this internal discussion, this internal debate on how they should carry out their TTPs, their techniques, tactics, and procedures, particularly as it relates to Black Crows.
Black Crows, he points out, isn't an outlier. Middle Eastern broadcasters have been countering the extremist narrative for years, sometimes with comedies that mock terror groups, sometimes with attempts at viral videos. This one from a telecommunications company had millions of views in just the first few weeks of this Ramadan. A suicide bomber confronted by the ghosts of past victims and the real-life survivors of terror attacks. Keep it up, urges Rahim.
So if this can take place in the broader Middle East, can this be replicated in the Horn of Africa where they're dealing with the threat of Al-Shabaab? Can this be replicated with Boko Haram in Nigeria, in Lake Chad Basin area? These are real questions, but I think the more we can amplify efforts like this is the start of hopefully much more activity that we'll see throughout the world.
What a relief if this proves to be the way to defeat the likes of ISIS, but it's never that simple. And it's been hard for Black Crows. Its actors and producers have been threatened and the show's motives questioned.
The men and women of Raqqa is being slaughtered silently
are real journalistic heroes.
The journalists who belong to Raqqa being slaughtered silently, the people who've meticulously documented ISIS's atrocities, count themselves among those who are not fans of Black Crows, call the drama of it all unnecessary. Abdelaziz sees political agendas at work.
Because all these movies or series are made in the Gulf states, and every country has its own agenda to deal with this issue. Unfortunately, with Arabic the series, movies, even documentaries, it's been so hard to do something without corruption, without the involvement of the government.
Did politics interfere? The series seemed to end abruptly, is no longer easy to find on the broadcaster's website, and Twitter is abuzz with claims the show offended Kuwait and Jordan with various plot lines. But it got people talking, arguing, and watching. The first show to ever portray life under ISIS. It's something. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News, Toronto.
Now stay tuned for political drama that's a lot closer to home. As the House rises in Ottawa, Rex has a lot to say.
Leonard Cohen is a Canadian poet, novelist, and despite an air of frail vulnerability, he's a very confident young man.
I feel free when I'm singing.
Do you make up your own songs?
I always thought of myself as a singer and kind of got sidetracked into literature.
Can you sing?
Well, I think that if the song is really good and it's your own, then what comes out is music.
But now another stranger seems to want you to ignore his dreams as though they were the burden of another.
Oh, yes. Well, I'd feel pretty lousy if I were praised by a lot of the people that have come down pretty heavy on me.
Cannot stand what I become. You much prefer the gentleman I was before.
Well, I always felt that my work was more eccentric, and that if it touched the mainstream from time to time, I would be lucky.
I remember you well in the Chelsea Hotel. You were famous, your heart was a legend.
All right, it is Mr. Leonard Cohen!
You know, it's only in a country like this that I could get the male vocalist of the year.
On the polka dots, and his partner found and his partner and his hell to pay when the fiddler stopped.
Well, I don't know, people have called me pessimistic, you know, but I think the pessimist is someone who's waiting for it to rain, you know, and I feel completely soaked to the skin, so.
It's closed and
Sometimes I see myself in the midst of it, or I catch sight of myself in the mirror, you know, this old guy in his underwear, you know, kind of trying to find the rhyme for orange, and, you know, playing the same phrase on his guitar 15, 20, 90 times, trying to get it right. And there's something absurd about that, but, you know, the nature of work is repetition.
And do you come up with a rhyme for orange?
Door hinge.
to the end of love. Dance with me to the end of love.
If there's one thing I would like to all of us to do is to remember that we come from greatness. Having the courage to own your story is your superpower, so don't be afraid to use it.
As per normal, things are winding down now in the House of Commons that summer's here. Hasn't really been that exciting a session. The Conservatives put up an end to their interminable search for a new leader. Sometimes it seemed there were more people running than the party has voters. They opted at least for a young man of open charm and easy ways, perhaps in implied contrast to their last master. Mr. Trudeau, God love him, continues to expand the family photo album, hitting a high spot, I thought, with the CBC Kids shoot of him hugging a puppet unicorn, an episode too rich for any further comment from me. He joined something called Gary's Hug Club, which led to this Pieta moment. A picture, as they say, is worth 1,000 words, and no doubt some fiend will come up with the caption, "And which one's the Prime Minister?" But I disavow any connection with so irreverent a thought. The session just ended was mostly unremarkable. The usual retreat on some promises, access to information, a mixed effort on parliamentary reform. The really interesting or novel material came from the performance of our new, improved, somewhat independent Senate. The Senate, after the many batterings over their fluid and porous expense accounts during the Harper years, started to act somewhat as it was originally designed to do, like keeping an eye on the elected tribe in the House of Commons. Senators took a big stand on the government's budget, the legislation that bundled the new infrastructure bank and some other matters as well. The House, Liberals in particular, were most chuffed that the independent Senate they pioneered was acting independently. They stalled, amended, or publicized the faults of government legislation as they saw fit, provoked useful debate, in fact, acted, as the famous phrase has it, as the chamber of sober second thought. So, 2 cheers for the Senate, not 3, for there was at least one senator who made a posterior of himself. This was Fabian Manning, of Newfoundland, I sadly confess. Poor Mr. Manning slipped in the parliamentary cafeteria years back, and the National Post discovered that he forthwith launched a suit against A, the cafeteria, B, the House of Commons, and C, the Attorney General of all of Canada, for $250,000, claiming damages for, among other things, cognitive dysfunction. A strange claim, since it would be argued that CD, or cognitive dysfunction, is a priority qualification to get into the Senate in the first place. Oh, how are our entitlements entitled? Well, luckily, word got out. Facebook and Twitter screamed, and Mr. Manning, sensing disgust in the land at his brazen reach, retired the lawsuit. I suppose, though, if he really wanted to put an end to this malodorous episode, Mr. Manning could join the Gary's Hug Club and swarm a warm puppet. But that, alas, may be in the sacred domain of Prime Minister's privilege, and thus unavailable to a mere common senator. For The National, I'm Rex Murphy.
The amazing Alouette has outperformed anything that's been shot into space since the Russians started it with Sputnik 1. The mere fact that it's still faithfully sending back messages from the top side of the ionosphere is enough to make it remarkable. When it was launched in September of 1962, its designers figured that with luck it would operate for a year. As of right now, it's been in orbit for 5 years and 7 months, and 3 of the 6 original batteries are still working.
It was a picture that Canadian engineers had waited 6 years to see, and for which Canadian taxpayers paid $100 million. A giant space robot with Canada's name on it and the Earth above. The remote manipulator system performing perfectly.
Okay, and be advised that we're looking at a great picture.
Good evening. It was a spectacular liftoff and a history-making day for Canada. The shuttle Challenger blasted off the pad at Cape Canaveral at dawn. On board, astronaut Marc Garneau, the very first Canadian in space.
This trip into space for me has turned out to be more than ever I could have hoped for. It's a great honor for me to represent Canada in space.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. Liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery and the first International Microgravity Laboratory.
Good evening. There's a Canadian in the heavens tonight, Roberta Bonder, going around in circles and entirely happy about it. Canada's second astronaut in space. She's orbiting planet Earth about 300 kilometers straight up. She left from this space center this morning, 59 minutes later than scheduled, but after a lifetime of anticipation, those minutes probably won't mean very much in the long run.
Incredible view.
A crucial spacewalk took place in the skies above us early today, and Canadian astronaut Julie Payette was in charge. Payette coordinated the mission from onboard the Space Shuttle Discovery.
History was made high in the sky today. For the very first time, a Canadian walked in space. Early this morning, astronaut Chris Hadfield began installing Canadarm2, and with it, launched a new era for the International Space Station.
With great humility and pleasure, I accept command of the International Space Station.
You know why I wanna get back soon. You know why I wanna get back soon.
The National. The National.
Tonight.
Johnny's back. Crossing the country, connecting Canadians. You better be prepared. Ready for just about anything. Johnny Harris returns with Still Standing. The new season begins Tuesday at 8 on CBC.
CBC News launched a new initiative this week, profiling Indigenous trailblazers, innovators, and leaders. Tonight, we introduce you to the founder of a group that uses art to help Indigenous youth in difficult circumstances.
My name is Jessica Slater. I'm from Ochekwe Cree Nation, and I am Indigenous. I've always been a painter for as long as I can remember. You know, our teachings speak of that each and every one of us are born with a sacred gift, and for me, I wanted to use those gifts to benefit our communities and to sort of rewrite a lot of the conversations that were happening. Well, my Indigenous identity was somewhat hidden from us when we were growing up for good reason, because I think in Manitoba around the 50s, 60s, there was still a lot of segregation. So it became an act of safety almost to hide, you know, that from my family and my fair-skinned relatives. So I'm fortunate that I'm fair-skinned in the way that that offers me certain privileges that other family members didn't get growing up. So, but I always knew that something was missing, and I discovered my culture when I was 17. I met a close relative, and she really exposed it to me, and it really was monumental for my own development. So Young Artist Warriors is a group that I started in Montreal, and its mandate is to actively honor traditional knowledge and protocol while fostering positive identity through the arts. So I just know for me, like, how much I struggled with identity growing up and feeling like something was missing and feeling shame and guilt and not knowing why. And it wasn't until I connected with my culture that I found out that that experience is common for Indigenous youth, and its roots are often in acts of colonization. And so by being able to unpack that for myself was such a beautiful journey, and that's really what we're trying to do in this work. I quickly learned the importance of having integrity in this work. So I quit using all substances, and I wanted cultural support, so I knew there was cultural supports in Vancouver, so that's why I moved back here. I started sweating, and I was adopted actually into Navajo Nation and just really started on that healing journey. So our first year with the work was very powerful for me. We had about 40 participants, many in and from foster care. Half were homeless at one point during the program, and we're talking like living in shacks and out on the streets, and it was like they aged out and they were taken to the shelter, which is a really inappropriate place. So they couldn't access things like assistance. So really through the program, we're trying to bridge some of those gaps. So that is a golden eagle, I believe. And I think it's an immature because I wanted it to be like young eagle, young people. So the artwork is the way that we initially build relationships, right? It's very calming, it's very centering, and I think it just creates a safe container for a lot of these conversations to happen. The mural came about because I was asked by the City of Surrey to do a work that would highlight Indigenous issues in Surrey. We know now that there's 8,000 Indigenous youth under the age of 26 in Surrey, so you don't see anything, you know, out in the urban centers that represent this population.
This is so amazing for me because little girls grow up thinking, I don't see anybody that looks like me. And it's so important that we have things like this so that they know, you know, this is normal. How I look is normal.
These profiles are part of a larger project here at CBC News. You can find more at cbcnews.ca/IamIndigenous. Only a few hundred Canadians declare Inuinnaqtun as their mother language, but that's something they hope to change. Kate Kyle takes us to Cambridge Bay, where a language on the verge of being lost is getting a new life.
Located on the traditional lands of the Copper Inuit on Victoria Island, connections to the land still run deep in Cambridge Bay, a hamlet of 1,700 people. But on the street and in homes, their language, Inuinnaqtun, is getting harder and harder to hear.
As a kid, I didn't think about Inuinnaqtun too much. It was like the language of our grandparents.
Sarah Janke is part of a generation that didn't grow up speaking Inuinnaqtun. Today, she's learning the words for welcoming an elder in this Aboriginal language revitalization program.
I think a lot of people are just floating around without understanding why, even though it's a part of who we are.
Fewer than 400 people declared Inuinnaqtun their mother tongue in the latest census. Most children are English speakers. That shift began when the government moved people from the land to communities. Children were forced to attend residential school.
It helped to understand how intentional it was, ultimately giving strength to the work that we have to do.
This sewing circle is one way Janke hopes to get people using Inuinnaqtun again. Margaret Nakashuk teaches the class how to sew mini comics, sealskin boots, and the words that go with that. Janke has taken several Inuinnaqtun language classes and organized them for young people in her region. But speaking Inuinnaqtun in public is still a struggle.
My comprehension, I'm really proud of myself. It's taken me a long time, I think, in the journey of language learning to have that compassion for myself. Programs like this, educating people who are ready, is what is going to create that wave of change.
Even though it's ambitious, local Inuit leaders want Inuinnaqtun communities mostly bilingual in 2 generations. Kate Kyle, CBC News, Cambridge Bay, Nunavut.
And that's the National for this Friday night. For news at any hour, you can always go to cbcnews.ca. I'm Wendy Mesley. Thanks for watching.